All right, good afternoon. So I'm here today with our mayor, our Mayor Lenny Curry, our state attorney Melissa Nelson, and some other members of our joint law enforcement team here to provide you some information about an investigation that focused on gun violence here in Jacksonville. So working side by side with our law enforcement partners at the state attorney's office, our investigators continually look at new ways to reduce gun violence in our city and address the root causes that can lead to such violence. Our investigative teams uncover critical information while working on our streets and share it with our law enforcement partners to aid in initial further investigations and prosecutions. So we all know that social media has impacted our society in many ways, and most of those impacts are positive, and that they allow people to share information and communicate about everything from family milestones to noteworthy local, national, and international events. But unfortunately, these same advances in technology also provide the criminal element with a new platform to promote their trade in the street culture market. As social media has become more and more prevalent in our society, we have seen this medium being used with increasing frequency to spread threats of violence between groups and gangs here in our community. These messages are intended to threaten and intimidate others and are most often relayed through rap music videos produced by gangs and groups who film them here in our city and then share them on social media. These videos typically glorify drug use. They celebrate a culture of violence and are often intended to intimidate or threaten rival groups or gangs. Firearms have become increasingly prevalent in these videos with content that insults and challenges rival gangs and groups that can lead to acts of retaliation such as drive-by shootings. As our investigators analyzed videos produced by groups here in our community, it became clear that these defendants were using social media to threaten other groups. Our Gang Investigations Unit worked alongside the State Attorney's Office Targeted Prosecution Unit, and several felons were identified during this investigation. So as you see here on these boards, we have identified 9 people who are either convicted felons or adjudicated delinquent felons. They are all documented gang members or associates of criminal street gangs right here in Jacksonville, and I'll not name the gangs to give them any undeserved attention. I can, however, report that 6 of them have been arrested for being felons in possession of firearms, and 3 have active arrest warrants and are still outstanding, and you'll get that information in your media package today. So individuals, Roddy Myrick, Nicholas Parker, Christopher Parker, and Tyler Jackson were all arrested for possession of firearm by a convicted felon. So Byron Smith and Tyler Simmons were arrested for possession of firearm by adjudicated delinquent juvenile, and we have pending arrest warrants for possession of firearm by convicted felon for Breon DeBose, DeJuan Hayden, and Keith Rivers. So it's critically important to emphasize that our teams are always analyzing the Jacksonville physical and virtual landscapes for threats, and through our partnerships, we will use any lawful and available means possible to arrest anyone who carelessly and illegally brandishes a firearm in any threatening manner on social media or any other platform. So we encourage the community to join us in this effort and share information about gun crimes related to these suspects or any others. And they can do that by calling us at 630-0500 or, as always, through our partners at Crime Stoppers at 1-866-845-TIPS. And remember, through Crime Stoppers, that tip is completely anonymous and you are eligible for a reward upon arrest based on that tip. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for a couple of quick comments. Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Sheriff. Well, good afternoon. First, I want to thank the Sheriff and State Attorney, specifically the men and women that work under their leadership, to bring us to a day like today where bad people are being taken off the street. Today represents the reason that we spent so much time collaborating with ideas on resources that are needed to make Jacksonville a safe city. So the message is very simple. To the small group of folks that are in gangs that are perpetuating this violence, to the drug dealers, to the folks that are posting on videos threats of gun violence and violent activities, your city, the city of Jacksonville, is going to continue to bring to bear the force of every single resource that we have in collaboration with our sheriff and state attorney to make sure you are arrested, off the street, and prosecuted. So again, to the state attorney and the sheriff and the men and women that do this work every day, thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, I want to make the point of we would not have been able to do this. We've had conversations about this for a couple of years, and were it not for the high level of cooperation and partnership we have with the State Attorney's Office, and especially with the creation of their Targeted Prosecution Unit, we've been able to do some creative things and take some new steps, and this is a great example of that. So I want to thank the state attorney for that and for that partnership as well.